Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. This is a video that I've kind of wanted to do for a while now. As you remember, when I bought this W124, I had talked about a couple of things that the previous owner had done, but one main thing that he didn't do, and that is the dreaded M104 engine wiring harness. Now, this wiring harness is not limited to M104s. Of course, you have the V8s that are affected too, and you have a multitude of other vehicles that are affected. But one thing that kind of makes people a little reluctant to purchase a car like this with the M104 is that eco-friendly wiring harness. And just to run through it real quick. Good afternoon, folks. This is something that I've been wanting to do for a while, and I wanted to make sure to document some of it. This is the 1993 300E 2.8. It's a W124 chassis. I apologize if there's some wind noise. It's a beautiful day. We've got the garage door open, kind of working out here in the driveway. And basically, as you can see, I'm just kind of laying this out. This is a new harness. So I'm just kind of laying it out to where as I unplug one part of the old harness, I can plug in the new part of the second harness. So you'll see it's right here. So those of you that are already familiar, Mercedes tried a soy-based wire sheathing to be environmentally friendly, and they started this in the early 90s. It was 92, 93, something like that. And then it was done by, I think, anything post 97. So, but there was a period there where the wiring harnesses were soy-based and not made for longevity. So basically what we're doing is replacing this with an updated harness, and I'll give you an update as soon as we get a little bit further along. Okay, so I've got a couple of covers to put back on yet, and I got to tighten down the coil pack spark plug cover there on the valve cover. But it's done. Let me shut this off so you can hear me a little bit better. It does seem to be idling smooth up again. So that's the issue that I had. Yeah, I can't even feel the engine running right now. It is back to being silky smooth again. So what had happened was, let's see if I can find one right away. Yeah, there we go. Hopefully you can see that. Those wires are completely bare. So, and that's just one example. So, and it's time, right? Like mileage, low mileage helps, because that means you haven't been through as many heat cycles as one with maybe 150,000. This car has 75,000, just turned 75,000 today, actually. But the age deteriorates, and yeah, so the eco-friendly wiring harness was designed, obviously, to be friendly for the environment because it's soy-based. Unfortunately, these cars last so long that they're easily outliving these wiring harnesses that seem to have a maximum lifespan of about 30 years. This car isn't quite there yet. This is a 93, but yeah, just here maybe a week or so ago, I started to get a rough idle, and it was hard to start sometimes. So you'd crank it and boom, and then it'd kind of hiccup, and a couple of times it had a lot of trouble starting. Then it finally did start. It was idling real rough, and the first thing I wanted to do was replace that wiring harness, because I know even if that's not the culprit, it needs to be changed. So that's done now. You see why it needs to be changed. I mean, my goodness. Those are just, just one little spot that we can see. Imagine what it looks like throughout that entire that entire network of wiring. You can imagine there are a lot of bare wires that are probably touching each other and what have you. This isn't a difficult job. Just like I said, just take your time and unplug and plug in each plug individually. Now, you're not going to be able to do that like with this. This is a giant plastic piece. can see it over here. Basically, you need to unplug all of these before you can get it out of your way. But you can't mess that up because they literally won't reach the wrong spot. So as soon as you lay it on there, you're going to see where everything needs to go. I probably spent an hour or so on this, and I didn't necessarily hurry. I just kind of took my time and made sure I was doing it right. And then, so you saw how I kind of had it laid out where I had the new harness laid over top of the old one. And as I unplugged, I started back there at the main plug, back there by the battery. Obviously, you have to remove the battery. I started back there, and then as I unplugged everything from the old harness, I laid the old harness over to the driver's side. That way it just gets it completely out of the way. And as I kept on going down through, I just kept laying it over further and further. And pretty soon you're completely done with it. So I'm going to button this up, get a couple more covers on here. There's a black plastic cover that goes over this wiring harness right here in the center. And yeah, tighten down those little Allen screws. And yeah, I'm going to be done. Glad to update you guys in on this. And this is actually... this was fortuitous because this is something that I talked about shortly after I bought this car. It's something that I wanted to do. Well, it actually had an issue related to it. So this isn't like, oh, I was just doing it as routine maintenance. I wanted to do that, but it went ahead and reared its ugly head before I had a chance to. So as soon as I started getting that rough idle and the hard start problem, I went ahead and ordered up a wiring harness. And this is a 1999 wiring harness. So if you want to go through Mercedes, you can probably still get them. I'm not positive, but they're probably still available through Mercedes. But from what I understand, they're well over $1,000 for the wiring harness. There's really no reason to do that because so many of these have been changed throughout the years. Basically, anytime they salvage a W124 like this with an M104 engine, most of the salvage yards know to look for these updated wiring harnesses that do not have the soy-based wire sheathing. So that's where I got this. I got this off of eBay from an auto salvage center, and they'll show you a picture of the tag and just make sure that it's after, I want to say it's after 1997 or after 1998. You'll have to do some research on that yourself. But anyway, this is a 1999 wiring harness. I know this one's good to go. But yeah, you know, $250, $300. I think I paid $300 for this one, free shipping. I mean, it's the way to go because the wiring harness, it either works or it doesn't, right? Like as long as it has the new updated wire sheathing, you're going to be good to go. I mean, it's to me, it's kind of a no-brainer. I wouldn't even consider, paying 4 times as much for the exact same thing. It's not going to perform any different. So there you have it. Problem solved. Back to having a smooth idle. And we're going to get this thing buttoned up and we're good to go. Thanks for joining. Stay tuned for more. So just to summarize, this isn't a step-by-step how-to on how to change this wiring harness. Not at all. There's some liability issues and stuff like that we don't want to get into necessarily, but it's, if you have any mechanical aptitude at all, it's not a difficult job. It's not a real time consuming job. It's not a huge deal, but this is a video to remind those of you that are looking at these vehicles to A, do a little bit of research and find out if it's affected by this eco-friendly harness, environmentally friendly eco harness, excuse me, and B, find out if it has been changed, if it is affected. And if it has not been changed, use that as a bargaining tool when you're purchasing these vehicles. I did. The previous owner that had this car knew about it and knew it hadn't been replaced. The car was running smooth. It was running fine. He didn't want to mess with it when it wasn't causing any problems, and I understand that. That's why I left it alone for so long. I can't bring myself to start messing with the wiring harness on something that seemingly runs perfect and is silky smooth, so I didn't do anything to it, and even though I knew I should. But it's not a difficult job, it's not an expensive job. If that is the Achilles heel, so to speak, of this M104 engine, I'll take it. I've driven the M103, it's a fabulous engine, it's very smooth, but I like the M104 much better, hands down. I like the responsiveness, I like the power delivery. They're both extremely smooth engines. The M103 might be a little bit more reliable, certainly if you include the eco harness that we've been talking about. That's an issue that's the M103 is unaffected by. So, you know, there's that. And it's a lot more mechanical and a lot less electronic, and I get all that. But as far as driving dynamics, give me the 104 every time. So yeah, that's it. Quick update on the W108. I actually am in the middle of the power steering gearbox rebuild on it, so I'll have a video prepared for you guys shortly on that. Just kind of let you know how that went, and we got to get it back together and everything. So I'll share that with you. And for those of you who subscribe to this channel because of the W212, and I've had a lot of comments, you know, over the past year or so, you know, what's the deal with the W212? What happened? You know, whatever. I don't dislike the W212. I love the W212. I really enjoyed owning it. I just don't own cars for that long. And that's all there is to it. I own a car. I typically try to buy it right. I try to sell it right so it doesn't cost me anything to own. And I just move on to something else. And it's as simple as that. But for those of you who have been asking for more W212 content because you really enjoyed that video series, that's great. I love to hear that. And we have a treat for you. I don't have a W212 anymore, but there's a chance that somebody in my house just went out and bought a facelift W212, and I will share that with you guys as soon as I get a chance. We're getting ready to take a trip. We're going out of Louisiana for a week, so I won't be posting anything on it anytime real soon, but stay tuned for that, and we'll have a little bit more W212 content for you guys because I know everybody kind of enjoyed that. So, and I appreciate all the support, appreciate all the comments, but until next time, have a good day.